And yeah, and then we should bring ourselves back on screen. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi. This is all my fault. This delay and everything. This is all me. This isn't on Alex. I was very late getting started today because of some formatting issues and trying to figure out where mics were, and it's a whole thing. Because me and Eric, me and Eric are starting a couple new shows, so it's like everything's in different rooms. And how are you, Alex?
I'm good. I'm just a little sniffly right now. I'm cold, hence my sheet blanket.
Is it August where you are, or is it only August?
It is. Well, I mean, I think it's August for everyone.
Well, but in Australia, it's cold.
Well, I mean, like the season versus it's the same month, but it's a different season.
Yes, that's true. It is the same month
because they're not the same thing. Yeah.
Now there would be like one day probably of each like solstice where it's technically like fall somewhere, but then spring, winter somewhere else, and then you know, winter somewhere and then spring somewhere else. We do have like day changes.
Someone told me that in Brazil, June, July is their winter.
Yeah, that's like Australia. It's like their July is winter, and like Greenland, I think, is another one. Iceland, maybe Greenland.
Well,
or Iceland.
their version of summer is also like 20 degrees.
Summer also includes like, you know, whale carcasses and stuff like that. I don't know which one you're talking about, Iceland or Greenland, because Iceland.
My dad lived in Greenland for a good chunk of time.
Greenland's the cold one.
Yeah.
See, it's really confusing because Greenland seems like the hot one, and Iceland seems like it would be cold.
Yeah, them Vikings, they done fucked up.
Well, I feel like it must have been something in the translation that we kind of got messed up, because I feel like that the Vikings didn't name things in English. We did that. We had a chance to make that better, and we chose not to.
Well, I mean, but originally when they went over there and it was exploring. This is Cinema Bias History Edition, y'all.
This is Cinema Bias History, and then we're gonna get to January, man, which is a month.
They actually
of the year.
They supposedly named it Greenland because they didn't want people to move to Iceland, so they named it Iceland, hoping that no one would go there, so they can go over and they can go over there and make it like their whole thing. And versus Greenland, well, at least that's what I learned in school, but it was a long time ago.
But I mean, that's just really interesting. I didn't know that the Vikings like engaged in agitprop, like or propaganda. I thought that Vikings just came places and like pillaged. And like didn't really worry about like the PR of it.
Vikings were in like modern day Canada. They were up in like New England. They were everywhere.
Well, regardless about whether Vikings did or did not intend to name things countries after specific temperature climates, or whether that's something. I mean, it's probably true. I just didn't know that. Which are new fun facts. We are going to be talking about something that has to do with months. January, February, March, but mostly January. It is the one, the only. We're getting to the end of his biography, his oeuvre. We're getting to the end of our John Patrick Shanley songs. It is the one, the only January Man. A movie that I gotta say, Alex, I can usually guess where movies are going. And I'm very good at it. Like, I'm very good at it. This movie, I was sure that I had the villain down, or like the bad guy down immediately. And it did not turn out to be who I thought it was. And I'm interested to hear your take. But before we get started, what is Cinema Bias?
Yo, Cinema Bias. Do you guys not know what Cinema Bias is? Because get your shit together. Cinema Bias is a show where Drew and I go into every month a movie one or both of us have not seen. And it's all about challenging us to check out new genres, new directors, or whatever may be, in order to really broaden our movie horizons, but also break down our inherent movie biases. Because whether I realize it or not, we all have movie biases, whether it be for or against an actor, maybe a director, or heck, maybe a genre. And sometimes it just comes down to our childhood. Who is the one that introduced us to movies? What movies do you gravitate towards as adults? And why do we have those biases? And let's break those biases down.
Yeah. Although, I don't know, Alex, we've been doing this show for a little over a year. Do you feel like you've become more entrenched in your views, like about what kind of movies you like? Or you feel like you've like had your mind sort of blown about, and now you watch different kinds of movies because you think
my mind has definitely been blown a little bit, much more than I thought, and some realizations really came through where, like, I thought I was very confident, and I knew animated films.
Oh yeah,
turns out I don't know animated films all that extensively, and I thought I knew. I didn't know. I actively avoided horror as a genre up until last fall. And now I love horror. Now I love horror movies. I watch them for fun now, which I never thought I'd do. So yeah, biases have been confirmed, and also biases have been broken. So
that's what like the horror stuff. As for me, I feel like when it comes to movies I'm going to watch, it's still the kind of stuff I think probably that I would have watched beforehand. Like, I'm always going to default towards horror. I'm going to default towards certain kind of like dark comedies. But I have learned to sit through and appreciate like dramas and like weepy movies and biopics and especially the action adventure genre.
Absolutely. Like you getting into the Fast and Furious franchise is
so into it.
Which I never thought would happen, and then it did, and you were so into it. And
it was like a cult.
It's amazing.
I'm pretty sure it's like Scientology. Like, you sit down, you're like, this sounds ridiculous, and you sit down for like 5 minutes of e-reading, and then you're like, oh my god, it's family, and like that's all you can talk about forevermore. Now I get it, because it's like a self-aware action film, and you know what? I would even say that I could do with more Congos in my life. I could do with like 8 more Congos. If there were like 8 more movies like Congo out there, like I'm thinking about rewatching Twister just to get that feeling of like watching like a real swashbuckling kind of, or not swashbuckling, but you know, like modern day swashbuckling action adventure.
Totally get it. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I do love movies where the ridiculousness really comes through, and I love movies where not only it highlights that. Oh, we have a donation from Mr. Eric Gredner. Thank you so much, sir. Rod Steiger going off on Danny Aiello, largest performance in history. Yo, I'm here.
I know, it's pretty big. There are some performances in here. I don't know, Harvey Keitel and frickin' Kevin Klein as siblings is maybe like the strangest choice you can make as a filmmaker. Like, you're like, I want to talk to the casting person of this film. I guess also because like Alan Rickman's Alan Rickman, so when he shows up being like, I'm the best friend character, and you're like, oh, I get who the Calendar Man is.
And also Alan Rickman
as a gay artist, best
I was like not ready for it. I was
not ready for it either. And God, criminally underused considering he does not turn out to be the killer, unless I missed a part of the ending. He's not the killer in this movie.
He's definitely not the killer. Well, we're also we're going to dive into it later, but yeah, there's a lot. This is a movie of.
Do we even know who that killer was?
Like some dude. Weird big characters, like big character moments from side characters, which I think is really kind of interesting. And I feel like
it's also a new genre. You notice that it's a new genre for him. It feels like John Patrick Shanley has never stayed in the same genre more than once. Like, I don't think across any of his films we can say any of them are the same genre film. Wild Mountain Time's a straight romance. Joe versus the Volcano is like swashbuckling rom-com, adventure movie. Congo's just straight adventure. Like, Proof is a serious drama. The Five Corners one is like a crime drama. This is like a crime drama comedy. Like, Moonstruck is like a,
I mean, I would put Moonstruck and Wild Mountain Time in the same category, to be honest. I mean, like, regardless of how regardless of how you feel about how good Wild Mountain Time is, I mean, they're both like,
I think one's a romance and one's
dark family.
I don't know if Wild Mountain Time is a comedy. I think Moonstruck is a rom-com. I think Wild Mountain Time is more of a romance drama, like a bodice ripper.
Oh,
Maybe.
there it is.
Maybe it is a comedy.
Oh.
I mean, this movie, I was about to say though, I think this movie and Moonstruck are like exist in the same universe. Like I feel like this is the same world as Moonstruck. I feel like this is the kind of crime that would take place in Moonstruck. Like this kind of, it's a murder, but it's like a zany murder of women. I don't know what to say. It's like kooky. Like,
well, in this
everyone's
movie
silly.
in particular, there's so many. I definitely agree with you. It kind of feels like almost like I don't want to say a prequel to Moonstruck, but it does. It feels like a very like the same world in New York City.
It's two brothers who are estranged, and one of them's Danny. No, one of them's not Danny Ayo, but he's just like right next to it. It's Harvey Keitel and Kevin Klein. Although, like Danny Ayo and Harvey Keitel would have made better siblings than Kevin Klein and Harvey Keitel, which just make no sense that they would exist in the same world, let alone in the same movie, let alone in the same family.
And it comes down to that conversation again. Are they? Is it this? Is like focused on like specifically like Jewish, or is this more Italian?
Oh no, they're not Jewish. That's an Italian.
I don't
family.
know. It's like, well, I mean, like it's like
they're not
when
Jewish, honey. No.
Well, it's like I was like watching this. I was like, is this supposed to be played like that? Just because it like initially the vibes and everything reminded me so much of Moonstruck, and I was like, is this supposed to be like
that's again Italian?
Because I thought I'm like it's different. Like the performances and everything are different, and it didn't come across that way.
They
but
talk
I was
like
like,
Meowth. That's what they talk like, Alex. Meowth.
Well, they seem like they were trying to make it similar in some way.
Yeah, they're doing. I think you're just confused. I think you read Jew when it's really just Brooklyn. That's just a Brooklyn and like Italian Brooklyn accent.
Yeah, I've never been to Brooklyn.
Okay, so they all talk like Meowth. Like that's like how Meowth talks in Pokemon. Yeah, that's right. Like I'm a Brooklyn, New York guy.
That was like an exaggeration, like a caricature.
He is, and he's an offensive character, but so is Kevin Kline's performance, and Harvey Keitel just talks like that. That is just how Harvey Keitel talks. The difference here in the performances is Harvey Keitel is just talking. Kevin Kline is putting on like a weird accent of trying to be Harvey Keitel. Danny Ayo talks like that. I don't know if Rod Steiger actually talks like that. Alan Rickman talks like that, but usually not as flamboyantly. And Susan Sarandon, I guess, talks like that. I keep forgetting Susan Sarandon's in this movie.
Drew, let me ask you an Oscars question. How many Oscar winners are in this movie?
Like all of them. I don't know. Did Kevin Kline ever win an Oscar? Like, did Alan Rickman win one for Prince of Thieves?
Okay, so Alan Rickman was nominated. No, not nominated. It's correct. Like he was never officially nominated. Kevin Kline, he won.
For what? In and Out or something?
No, he won for A Fish Called Wanda. It's like one.
Oh my god, that's right.
Famously one of the only like comedic performances for winning Oscar.
Oh man, you want to talk about that? We can get into how many people in horror have ever won, but that's a totally different talk. Susan Sarandon's one. Harvey Keitel probably is one. Let's just say for the piano, he won. He showed his butt. I'm guessing that's where he won.
He did not win.
Oh wow, surprising.
Okay, so Oscar winners: Kevin Kline, Rod Steiger, and Susan Sarandon.
Oh wow.
And the three Oscar nominees being Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. I can't pronounce her last name. Harvey Keitel and Danny Aiello.
What is Danny Aiello nominated for? Moonstruck? Dude, that's funny.
Let me find out. Give me a hop.
That's probably Moonstruck. Real quick, why don't I just tell you through the plot of this movie? It's going to be difficult. We don't have to put 1 minute on the clock. I'm just going to go as best as I can recall because I was watching this through Pluto TV and like it kept having commercials and that would drive me like batshit. And I could never tell when the commercial was over and the movie was starting back up again. It's not that good at looking up at the screen.
Do the right thing.
Out from someone who did not physically look at it that often was
it was Do the Right Thing, by the way.
Oh, Do the Right Thing, duh.
That makes sense.
Tulpa. Come on, girl, Tulpa. Okay, sorry. So this movie is about a detective who's got a brother who was a detective but is no longer a detective because he like was taken off the force and sort of like set up in a dumb way. But that second guy who's kicked off the force is like kind of in love with the first guy's wife. The first guy, let's just call him what he is. The first guy's Harvey Keitel. He's still on the force. His boss is Danny Ayo, and then there's like a police commissioner, or not the commissioner. The commissioner, or like the commissioner of the city is that
what he is? I wasn't sure if he was like the mayor or something.
I think he's the commissioner. I think they say commissioner a bunch. So he's the commissioner, and then he's got a daughter. So it's like the police commissioner's daughter is Mary Stewart, that person, or Mary Elizabeth, whichever. And then there's Susan Sarandon, who is Harvey Keitel's wife, and who is sleeping or has slept at one point with Kevin Klein. And so that's kind of like the setup of what we got going on here. Then there's Kevin Kline's best friend / roommate / gay artist buddy, Alan Rickman. I don't think they live together. I think they're just best friends. And he's like sassy a little bit, but he's not really in the movie as much as like you would think would warrant an Alan Rickman being a sassy gay best friend character would have. And then what happens is there's been murders. There's been a bunch of murders, and they're trying to figure out how the murders happen. And only Kevin Kline is really like invested in it, I guess, or like knows how to do it. Right. So they find out the guy's been choking women to death with blue ribbons on not holidays. It's like every month he's choking women to death with blue ribbons. Yeah. And the months are also corresponding, or the dates are corresponding to prime numbers, which I appreciated. That was kind of like the movie Cube. And then in addition to that, the murders are happening on different floors of the building, which they discover a pattern of, which is that they're the notes of a song. And they find it out in the most ridiculous way possible by literally da-da-da-ming it out. They're like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, wait, what's that? And they're like, what part? And they're like, da-da-da-da. And they're like, da-da-da. And it goes on for like 5 minutes and it's completely ludicrous. And they figured out it's the song Calendar Girl. So with that predictive text, they're able to get the next floor that's going to happen on this date because of the calendar and the astrological symbols and the whole thing. And they catch him. But guess what? Kevin Kline doesn't have a gun and he's not allowed to call for backup because he's technically not on the force. So he has to pound through the door with a sledgehammer. Oh, and he set up the police commissioner's daughter, who he's fallen in love with, as like the jail bait or like the honey trap to catch the guy. And then Susan Sarandon is also in love with Kevin Kline. It's a whole thing. But then he breaks through the door and they catch the guy. And it's just like some random dude we've never seen before. Like some black guy, I think. Like just the
Did I hear it? Frozen, maybe. Well, y'all, I'm kind of curious. Have y'all ever seen this movie? Because up until recently, I've never heard of this. I have not heard of this movie. I've heard of people in it, obviously. But yeah, the plot synopsis, essentially, everything that Drew said is pretty on point. And I don't know if there's anything else I would really add to it. It's set in New York City. It was released in 1989, I want to say. So a lot of these actors, Kevin Kline, Susan Sarandon, they're like really in their prime. They're coming off of, oh, it's me. What's up? They're coming off hot off their Oscar wins. Kevin Kline, I think he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor a year or two before. Same for Susan Sarandon, obviously. And so it's definitely an interesting one. Is it white guy in blackface? Actually, yeah, not so great there. Are you referring to the ending? Because I didn't realize it was blackface just because I thought he was like dressed in black and did whole black makeup thing. I thought that was just because he was trying to blend into the back kind of thing, and it was just more of a costume, trying to be camouflage rather than doing a character. But I feel like this is definitely a weird movie. It's also a movie that I'm getting a message from Drew as we speak. Oh, Wi-Fi is down. So fun troubleshooting on for Drew. Hopefully she'll be able to pop up here pretty soon. Yeah, so this is definitely a weird one. And there's also a lot of really big moments, and I don't even know how to go about this movie in particular, because there's a lot of random moments that I feel like they're good moments, but they're useless moments. Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad. What? That really don't serve a purpose. Like the subplot with, for example, everything going on with Susan Sarandon. I love Susan Sarandon. I think everything she's in, I think she's pretty fantastic overall. And I feel like she was kind of wasted. Her character really is still in love. She used to date Kevin Kline's character. She fell in love with him. She loved his eccentricities, his weirdness and everything. And I guess they broke up, or she left him for his brother, potentially much more. Oh, yeah. I mean, if it was a guy trying to be a black guy of a different race, obviously, I mean, that's 100% blackface. Obviously, I didn't look at him as trying to do blackface, just because I didn't like. Again, I thought he was just trying to blend into the shadows, kind of situation. But yeah. So I mean, I could be wrong for sure. But also, with Susan Sarandon's character, she's still in love with she's also she's having a weird relationship with her husband, Harvey Keitel. Also, Keitel, what the fuck is he doing in this movie? He oh, I don't remember the curly haired wig. I feel like he's just kind of useless in this movie. And the thing is, I love Harvey Keitel. He's such an interesting actor. But Harvey Keitel in this movie, he literally anyone could have played his character. And it was just weird. I was just talking about Susan Sarandon's character.
Like, why does she exist? Lon had a really good tweet, which is like, why is she in the movie?
Yeah, you could literally take that entire plot line out, and it wouldn't change the plot at all.
Well, I feel like it's a theme of his, because this is the plot of Moonstruck. It's the idea of the brother's fiance being in love with the other brother.
Yes.
So that it's the same thing, but it's almost like we didn't get to see the relationship in Moonstruck that much because Danny Aiello has gone through all the film, but like that's essentially what it is. It's just like a love triangle, but like I can't tell if they're trying to make it so Kevin Klein is so pure that he's never hooked up with her, even though it's like very clear they're both in love with each other, or if it's like he slept with her, or if he slept with her a long time ago. Like it's really unclear what their dynamic is or why they're going out still and hanging out.
Well, if you're taking intimate photos, not like they weren't like sexy photos or anything like that. They were taking photos like that seemed like they were in a couple's relationship for a while. Like the cute.
Were they dating before he got together with? Oh, they were dating. They were a couple before.
That's Harvey. Yeah, they were a couple together. I assume they were a couple, and then she left him for Harvey Keitel's character.
That's messed up. Because, like, honestly, who's doing that? Who's switching from Kevin Klein, who was a hottie back in the day? Like he was. There's just no lie about it. Like,
hey, Harvey Keitel's also quite a hottie. So
no, Harvey Keitel was never a hottie. Harvey Keitel's a lot of things, but like. I'm sorry, but like I was watching the documentary about Marilee We Go Along, and one chick just straight up admitted she only became an actress so she could meet Kevin Klein when he was doing Pirates of Penzance. And like nobody was inspired to get into acting. No female was inspired to get into acting because of Harvey Keitel's butt in the piano.
I beg to differ. Have you not seen the piano?
I have seen. That is literally what I'm referencing, is his butt in the piano.
I love the piano. I'm still sad we can't cover that on Cinema Bias. Since it's not.
Wait, somebody said this is Keitel's worst performance, and that's including Saturn 3, where he was dubbed. I don't know, man. Have you seen like the Last Temptation of Christ? Like that's also pretty intense because like I don't think Judas had a Brooklyn accent either. Just people who don't have Brooklyn accents, it's definitely not Judas. Like Judas didn't have one. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know about it being his worst, best, or anything like that, just because I haven't seen enough of his movies in particular to really kind of make any judgment like that. But if it is worst, I really wouldn't know.
He's also bad, but like, can I just be honest? I don't think he's good at that often.
Well, in this movie, I don't think any of the performances are particularly great. I think like Susan Sarandon's fine. Kevin Klein, he's great. Kevin Klein. So.
Right. Let me just be honest with you. Rickman could have had his own spin-off movie and I would have been here for it. Like,
oh my gosh, but Rickman was on another level. He was so fucking sexy in this movie.
Yeah,
I was like,
Rickman is sexy. He's so good. He's so captive. Even if you didn't know that he was like Alan Rickman, like, you know, Snape, like if you were still in the past and watching this movie, you'd be like, oh, this guy has to be the bad guy because he's he like stands out so much more than I think these other characters who are supposed to be the ostensible heroes of the story stand out. Like he's like playing a different game than the rest of them. He's just showing up. He's sort of like, I'm trying to think of the equivalent. He's sort of like the Alfred when Jeremy Irons plays Alfred in Batman v Superman and like Justice League, and you're just like, oh, what a sassy Alfred! Like, oh, look at him go. You're kind of like, this guy's amazing.
Was he possibly my favorite part of that movie?
I mean, if you have a favorite part of Calendar Man that is not Alan Rickman's performance as the sassy gay man, I'm assuming he's gay. He might not be, but I think he is.
I didn't get that vibe from him, but I mean, like the way. Okay, so he's a painter, and the way he looked at the or his conversation with the naked woman he was painting, and he's like, and he was leaving for a moment, and he's like, "Don't molest anything." And he like held it, and he had like the eye contact.
Yeah, like he's like, "Don't molest anything to her." He's like, "Don't molest my shit." Like he's like,
I know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he was supposed to be straight. Plus, he like Kevin Klein felt totally comfortable letting like a chick stay at his house, like being like, "You take her for the night." And the way that he just made like little sassy comments, it didn't feel like. And I will give credit to this in the screenplay. They didn't make him feel like an archetype like so many of the gay characters were back in the day. Like he wasn't like a screaming queen or anything. It's just like he was. I feel like his whole character was written to be very like sassy friend.
Or maybe it could have been like more like I don't know if his character was gay. Maybe it was bi. Maybe like whatever the situation was. Regardless, it was a very sexy character. Maybe it was
very sexy. I thought it had to be the killer.
And also the body language and the way his character throughout the whole movie, his attitude towards work, also like his passion towards the art was like one of the consistent things throughout the movie where I was like, I just want to know what that character's doing.
Again, this is why he had to be the killer. They keep talking about how the killer is smart, like the killer likes music. The killer is like obsessed with astrology. Like the killer has all these artistic leanings. The killer kills people with a blue ribbon around his throat, which they assume has to do with like his relationship with his mother and getting a prize when he was younger. By the way, none of this is relevant because we don't find out anything about the killer. They're just like, oh shit, it's a random guy. Like, whoops. And nor do they even have like a suspect in like, they have a guy that they suspected because he jumps out of a building and we never find out why that guy did that either. But like they never like go off on the wrong direction and are misled into thinking like it is the best friend and then it just turns out not to be. They use these clues to determine absolutely nothing. They build up this whole unsub profile about this serial killer only to use it, I guess, to figure out the Calendar Girl song. And like nothing. There's nothing about the mother. There's nothing that comes from like any of the astrology stuff. All they use is to figure out when the next murder is taking place. And the blue ribbon had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was hoping that there was for a movie that's about detectives, and they kind of want to make it kind of somewhat Sherlock Holmesian kind of situation.
Yeah, they say Sherlock Holmes at one point. Sherlock.
Yeah, with the whole criminal psychology aspect and everything, which I appreciated. But I felt like for a movie that's about detectives and everything, there's very little actual detective work. And I love movies about detectives and like stopping crime and things like that. So I was a little disappointed. And even so, when it comes to like, I love shows like Criminal Minds and everything, and how corny and ridiculous they are. And I liked how creative and just how weird it was in terms of the actual, in terms of like the music and everything. I was like, that's kind of cool. Okay, cool. It's neat. I like that whole component.
Oh, the music element.
Yeah, like the whole thing and how they included stuff. Yeah, I mean that's kind of cool, but it didn't really do anything later on. So I was a little like, what? Or was I just?
They're being set up like there's a serial killer Moriarty on the loose, and at the end we get a brief shot of this black dude who we've never seen before. And again, like a little bit problematic. We have not seen one black character in the movie thus far. Yeah. And then like the first shot we're given is like this guy killing somebody. And then they make him out to be the serial killer, like this brilliant mastermind, like the Moriarty. And then at the end, they're like, so what was that guy's deal? And they're like, I don't know. He escaped from a mental institution where he'd been for 6 years. And you're like, okay, well, then how did he figure out all that astrology stuff? Like, how did he figure out how to make Calendar Girl into, like, correspond to building floors? Like, was he a super genius? Like, what was that?
Like, what's the dealio? We need
Why do you love Calendar Girl so much?
Answers. Usually when it comes to movie scenes or like TV shows where it's just like almost exclusively exposition. Usually I'm like bored by that, but in this movie I wanted more exposition. And there was entire scenes where I'm like, this is kind of a useless scene, but it just kind of adds to the vibe of a character. Essentially.
Yes, that's exactly right. He's doing a character study inside of a crime movie.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, like the crime just happens to
be there. Yeah, it's just the backdrop. That's right. Exactly. That's right, Alex. I think you're right.
Yeah. Well, overall, I mean, but this movie, I mean, with that being said, I think this movie is filled with interesting standalone characters. I mean, we did dive into like how amazing Alan Rickman is, because obviously, and how him and Mary Elizabeth also had a nice little reunion with not King Arthur, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or whatever, with Kevin Costner.
Oh yeah, her Rickman had to come back.
Nice little reunion there.
Well, here's the thing. I just realized something. Oh shit! I just lost it. What? I just had like a brilliant insight. Oh my god, go back a second. What were we just saying? You just said 7-4. Oh yeah. The age difference is something they keep hitting on between Kevin Klein and her. She's supposed to be like 22 or 25 or something, and like he just 23. Keeps mentioning like that's like a problem. Like it's a problem for like him. Like he just keeps going back to young girls. He keeps acting out by going to young girls.
On top.
She's like, she's 25 and she's on top of him during sex. What is that about? Why do we need that detail? Why
I don't know. It's just more character development, I guess.
Yeah,
or
that's Stevie.
I don't
know. It's like late 40s.
Also, like, is there like, does he have a thing for or against women that are on top, or is that considered like
that was just a thing in the 80s or 90s? I think that women shouldn't be on top. Like that makes you less men. Or like it's kinky.
That was a thing.
People used to be really into missionary, I think, in like the 80s.
I mean, cool.
I'm making that up, but I think that's the thing. People used to talk about sex way less, and so and they didn't have the internet, so people's conceptions about what sex were like anything that deviated out of the idea of men being on top and it being like this totally like missionary position was like considered like a little bit like kinky.
Honestly, that makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, overall, like we kind of mentioned, when it comes to kind of being more of a character study in particular, or is there any characters outside of obviously the beautiful Alan Rickman that you thought were particularly interesting?
Yeah. I want to know who cast this movie. I want to know, because it looks like he had a part in casting, because Danny Aiello was back in it. He was in Moonstruck. Here he is again. He's got this great like little thing where he's like, he's exactly who you need that character to be, which is the police, you know, he's like the captain or whatever. Or he's like in charge of things.
The casting director
sorry, go ahead.
Well, the casting director has been involved with quite a few movies, such as JFK, True Romance, and 200 Cigarettes.
200 Cigarettes? I mentioned that movie constantly. That movie one day is going to come up to Schmoedown. 200 Cigarettes is the movie. It is like the Avengers Endgame of 90s movies. It has everyone.
Yeah, okay, so this movie comprised of two casting directors, Billy Hawkins and Risa Bremen Garcia. But Billy Hawkins, and so the movies I kind of mentioned before, that was with Risa, but Billy Hawkins did Precious, Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, even most recently, the Oscar-nominated film, The United States versus Billie Holiday.
Oh, okay. Did they do Tesla? Moonstruck? Did either of them do Moonstruck, or maybe that was just a Shanley thing? He was like, I want that.
I guess that's just a Shanley thing.
He didn't direct this movie though, right? Like he just wrote the script. I don't think he gets to pick.
No, he didn't. Okay, so the person that actually directed this was Pat O'Connor, who ended up later getting married to Mary Elizabeth, which is funny.
What did Pat O'Connor direct besides this?
Pat O'Connor has done quite a few movies. He did like Sweet November.
All months. Every movie he does is another month. January Man, Sweet November, August Rush.
the coming of age period films, Inventing the Abbots, as well as Circle of Friends.
Oh, okay. What's Circle of Friends? Anyway, I guess we're getting a little off topic, but sounds like this was a match made in like weird development heck, because I don't see how this movie is like two different things, right? It is like a procedural, like we said, this is a procedural, and it's a character study. But like in John Patrick Shanley's writing and in whatever this guy was telling them to do as directors, it feels like what it becomes is like a mishmashy rom-com, which is or comedy. Like it has this weird comedy beats. Everything has a weird comedy beat. Like the big climactic scene where she's getting strangled. She's like getting strangled, but she's doing it in a way that gets done in a comedy, which is like she's getting strangled. She's like, help. And then he's trying to bash in the door and she's like, like I can't. And he's like, I can't do it. Like, what's going on? Like, and she's like, you better come in already. I thought you were supposed to save
waiting for something to happen.
Yeah. And like the guy's like murdering her or like whatever, but she's like, God. And she can like have enough air to like scream out like these, insulting things about his abilities to murder her. And then like when he breaks in, or when Klein finally breaks in, he's like, I'm going to detain you. And the guy just like takes off and he's like, oh no, I've like forgotten how to detain people. Like, and it's like, what is this? Like, I thought, like, isn't that your girlfriend, man? Like, you're treating this like you're in a comedy, like not like you're in a serious film.
Yeah. It's.
I guess I have to imagine that there was another version of this plot where it was Alan Rickman, because this ending doesn't make any sense. Like the idea that it's just a random character that we've never seen before, and that it's like a black dude who just escaped from a mental facility doesn't even fit with like the profile they've created for him.
And it's not only that, it's not even a black dude.
Oh, I thought it was 100%
no,
black.
Apparently, okay. So Eric reminded me that it is a white dude. However, what? They are in a black face in this movie. Now, when I saw the movie,
what the fuck? Sorry, go back. What the fuck?
What the fuck? So I feel like I need to bring up some pictures because I feel like I'm like misremembering this. So I'm gonna actually bring up some of his comments. So yeah. So.
Wait, is that ever clarified? Did they ever say, "Oh, that guy was in blackface," or did they just show you a white dude in blackface? Which is essentially
they randomly show a white guy in blackface with a curly-haired wig.
Okay, but they never mentioned, like the detectives were never at the end, or like, why was that guy in blackface? It's never remarked upon. So as far as the audience knows, that was just they couldn't get a black dude to set that day. So asked like Trevor from like casting or like from the props department, come over and pretend to be black. Like that's so fucking weird. If it's never remarked upon, then that's even fucking weirder. Well, crazy.
The thing is, when I watched it, I didn't look at it as like blackface per se. I just like I saw it as like a white guy trying to like putting on makeup and everything because he was trying to blend in and do camouflage or some shit.
I'm like, sorry, no.
And that's
why
like
wig and he's pretending to be black.
No, the thing is, I didn't notice the wig. Like he's like
how
wearing,
are you doing
like,
camouflage by dressing yourself in blackface? That's totally stands out. That's like a thing. People be like, wow, that's offensive.
It's covered. It's over the ears and everything. It's not like a perfect circle or anything. So I mean, like covering over his neck and hands and everything. So I like saw it and I'm like, I didn't compute it initially. But now that he says it, I'm like,
as a director, as a choice, you're choosing to put a white man in blackface and then never have the main characters remark upon this in any way. So as an audience member, you're just watching it, I guess, because I don't look up enough. Like, I just assumed it was a black guy. Why would I assume otherwise if no one's going to tell me that the person that I glimpsed on the screen wasn't an actual black man? Not commenting on it makes this whole fucking thing so much weirder.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm trying to find a picture of it right now, just because I'm like thinking, I'm like, did it really? Because I just need some.
Stop it. That is nuts. I can't handle that. Like, they couldn't hire a black guy, or was this guy's pathology that he liked to dress up like black men? Like, adding blackface into this movie adds another layer of questioning that like is going to make me go crazy. It's gonna make me go crazy, Alex.
Well, this movie didn't make all that much money, so I'm not surprised all that much.
But like, they never even have a line explaining it, being like, well, this guy's thing was that he loved his mom and he needed to get first place, and also he was obsessed with blackness. I mean, that like I said, so I guess this movie has 0 black people, which is itself weird. What? I'm gonna look up the plot synopsis. They have to remark upon this in the plot synopsis if this is true.
Yeah, because I didn't remember the wig personally. But I mean, like I was like, might have been on my phone or something, and I just didn't like acknowledge it, just didn't see it.
January man blackface. Well, that is a search term. Oh no. Oh no, there is a search term of it. So it exists, but why? Yeah, I thought the blackface thing was clearly to point out how shitty the police were. Oh, it's a How Did This Get Made episode. That's perfect. That's perfect. So they did a How Did This Get Made about this movie. And somebody did point out that just randomly a character's in blackface, and that's the killer. That's fucking wild. What? I thought the blackface thing was clearly to point out how shitty the police were. Like, oh, the serial killer knows the police will like me to go after more black people if anyone reports a description. Yes, that's exactly right. I don't get it. What?
So weird.
What is going on?
Just adds to the confusion. Now, I wonder if that was like written into the script or not.
What do you think that accidentally happened? Or the makeup person made it?
I mean, no. I mean, like, I wonder if, like you said, what if it was like a casting thing and they're like, well, we just can't find any black actors to perform this role.
Do you think the character was written? Okay, here's a bigger question. John Patrick Shanley, knowing what we do know about him, which is that he changed Ernie Hudson's character from white to black in the movie because he thought it was like really offensive that this Alan Quartermain type was supposed to be going into the Congo and dealing with the natives. So he wrote a line that said, "I'm the great white hunter, even though I'm black." You think this is the guy, and he decided arbitrarily in his screenplay to write character dressed in blackface, and then decide to have no other descriptors of it?
Hey. I think maybe there was a whole scene going about it. Maybe there was more explanation and they just cut it out. I don't know.
No, I mean, no, it can't be that. It cannot be that. It cannot be that he was wearing blackface and they forgot to tell us about it. That cannot be it. We're not saying that they have the best editors or something on staff. You know what? I'm gonna go find this movie online and I'm gonna watch the end of it real quick. So I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna find a screenshot of it. Alex, you vamp for a second.
Go for it. Go do it. All right. Well, yeah. So this movie's been a real learning curve. Eric, I'm kind of curious for you in particular. Is this your I know you said this is one of your favorite movies, but I'm kind of curious. How do you feel like it? How do you think it compares to some of his other work, John Patrick Shanley's other scripted films such as Doubt, While Not in Time?
So glad you started with Doubt because I was going to pop in and go, yeah, how's this compared to Doubt?
Doubt, Alive or Ice, whatever that movie's called.
Alive, the last one, yeah.
Moonstruck, things like that. I'm kind of curious. Do you love this movie because it's just more sentimental to you? Did you grow up with this movie? Or do you generally love some of the actors that are involved?
Oh my God.
Oh, it's more of a guilty pleasure. So do you watch this and you're like, do you watch this and know like this is a bad movie? Or do you feel like it is genuinely kind of an underrated movie?
This guy's dressed like a straight up clown. Like he's wearing clown. He's dressed like oh my God. And he is in blackface. Holy shit.
Ooh, pull it on screen.
I'm trying to find like a good shot that like clearly oh wait. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. What the fuck? What the fuck, Alex? I'm so sorry. I did not know this is what it looked like. I should look up more.
I clearly wasn't watching as actively as I should have. Oh, Jesus.
Yo, not even a joke. What the
big old yikes. I don't remember that scene.
They never comment on it. They never talk about this.
I don't remember.
No, it's not only that you not remember, they don't afterwards mention it. They're not like, they tell us that he escaped from the asylum, not that he was in blackface. When he's being beat up, he's not like, hey dude, that's not cool. This is never commented on in the entire movie. What? Oh, you said it was camouflage. I could see that, except then why?
Well, yeah, I didn't like realize the hair or anything. I just like saw the face.
Okay, but here's the thing: if you're in camouflage, which maybe he's trying to dress in all black and blend into the darkness, then why? Yeah. First of all, that screenshot was immediately the goofiest thing I've ever seen. Why is he wearing? Because the Adidas work, that kind of like is like it's something you wear when you're a prowler. Why is he also wearing like these white ass gloves that make him look like Thriller? Why is he wearing over like a red lined jacket? Like, look at this shit.
Oh my gosh. I did not know this. Yeah, I remember that.
Crazy. What is this?
I never.
Is he a magician?
Hey, Just because, okay, hey, hypothetically, it's he could be obviously his character is a real piece of shit, obviously.
What the fuck, January
Hypothetically,
Man?
he
I'm
could
Googling it.
maybe camouflage, but he's doing a real bad job of it. No, fuck it. No,
I think he's an off-brand magician.
Yeah.
This is my thing. I believe he's an off-brand magician because that looks like a magician's outfit. Like that's
Okay.
the cut, the coat with like that smoking jacket look. He's wearing Adidas, which I noticed. Those white Thriller gloves. I mean, maybe he's a Michael Jackson impersonator. That's the closest I can get is Michael Jackson impersonator.
Oh, even so, even if it was an impersonation, I mean, like you wouldn't know looking at him.
Okay, so I did Google what the fuck January Man, and I found something.
Michael Jackson looks, I guess. White gloves, and that's it.
Like, yeah, I Googled what the fuck January Man, and I did come up with a couple search results, all of which are just like, yeah, the black grease paint, like what is going on? There's no explanation for it. Let's see. At the very end, in the Klein delivers the killer wrapped up. They reveal the killer's wrapped up in a carpet, and nobody knows who he is. And so the killer's grease paint face, it's just really weird. And then she gives I forgot, this movie ends. I thought this movie was not over yet, and I was going like a little bit nuts. This movie ends with Susan Sarandon handing Kevin Klein a check. Why? Yeah. Had she hired him for something?
No. Okay. So earlier in the film, when they went over, when she went over to his house to have dinner, he confronted her about a check that was missing from his house, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you stole something from me.
Why would you steal a check? Did she need money?"
And no, it was like apparently it was never cashed. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why did she steal it?
What is
happening?
It's not really mentioned why she stole it, but she ended up and she said, "I never." And when he like confronted her about it at the dinner, and she's like, "No, I did not steal it. Blah blah blah. I would never. I can't believe you would accuse me." And then she clearly did.
Yeah, but then like it doesn't have to do anything. And she's like, "Don't tell me I never got you anything." And she hands him back his own check, which is not getting him something. It's just giving him back something she stole. And then she's like, "Bah," and she doesn't say anything. It's just that's it. That's the end beat. I have to think somebody.
By the way, it's like I love you. I left him, and he's like, and he's like, "Nuh-uh, I like this chick now." And she's like, "Wow, okay."
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten a lot of
you probably exited out of that whole thing.
But wait, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna read the Letterboxd reviews, and we're gonna see what the hell's going on. Somebody's gonna have to tell me what's going on here.
Oh my gosh, we should do this in the future, where we should just dive into Letterboxd reviews.
Yeah, the Letterboxd has to tell me what's up. Oh, somebody wrote a poem. When actors make top billing, it starts with a serial killing, like Kevin Klein, whose numbers are prime. Then the film forgets to be thrilling. Ooh, Jaybird, I'm gonna follow your ass. You're funny. Remind me to follow Jaybird. Recent reviews. Part goofy slapstick comedy. Part suspense. Get away, freaking ad. Part suspense. Part David Mamet screaming match. Pick a lane. That's a good one. Someone saying, "I remember better. This is a hodgepodge, which seems like they were just missing there were missing bits just missing that might have filled it in. All a bit disappointing, all things considered. Loved it. Hashtag HD. Oh, how did this get made? I get it. Let's see more reviews. Somebody's got to mention the blackface thing. Please, God. Somebody mention this. Let's see. And that's the screenplay. Moonstruck paints an odd picture with strange performances from an outstanding cast. Perhaps in trying to be too cute, the January Man struggles to find a tone that fits. Confusing the cast is how to play their parts. However, I found it to be blah, blah, blah. Let's see if I can just control search for black. Nope, no one's going to mention the blackface thing. Okay. What if I control search for killer? Here we go. The killer's message. Killer was in a carpet. Somebody found that satisfying. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of just, this is the worst movie I've ever seen blackface used in, I think. And that's saying something. But this is awful. Like, if this is truly what happened in the film, I don't understand how they got away with it. I need to listen to how did this get made now.
Well, there is a reason why it did literally have a box office of less than $5 million at the time.
I mean, less than $5 million, that's still more money than I'll ever see in my lifetime.
That's very true. But for a movie like this, which hypothetically I'm sure they were looking to get a lot more money, and they were looking for considering how many big stars at the time. Now, like I said earlier, at this time, Kevin Klein, Susan Sarandon, they were in their prime. They're coming up hot off their Oscar win.
Yeah, this was before Rickman was big, though. I just saw someone say this is before Han Gruber, so this is before Die Hard.
Yeah, so that came out like a decade later. That's very true. But like I said, the big stars, they were hot off their Oscar wins, and they were like the top billing, obviously. And Harvey Keitel, he was like pretty hot shit back at that point as well.
This person's kind of speaking to the Shanley's thing, which is that like he's assuming that it's because this came out after Shanley won for Moonstruck. MGM offered to commission any script he submitted, so he just gave them a draft of January Man, and like they just made it. Like there's like no this guy's putting all the problems on the script. I don't know if I find the script to be a problem. Again, I think John Patrick Shanley is. Maybe I'm trying to give him a lot of credit because we're doing a retrospective of him, but I find him like definitely to be a little bit more woke and ahead of the curve in that respect. I don't think this blackface thing doesn't strike me as a Shanley beat. This feels like something the director added in or was decided on set, but I don't think this was his idea. Maybe it was. If it was, then maybe you're right. Maybe there was an extra scene that was cut off about like why this guy was doing what he was doing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely it's a weird choice, that's for damn sure.
This is ridiculous word picture soup made out of the leftover ingredients from Moonstruck. Moonstruck is a great movie. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, real quickly, I do want to let you know the echo's not from me. It is actually from Drew, so I just want to give you a heads up.
Really?
Oh, because I can hear my own voice through you though. But anyway, sorry, that's a little bit. But yeah, this is one of his. I think this movie was Rickman's second or third movie. He did Die Hard right before this. Die Hard was 88. January Man was 89.
Damn. Sorry, I was trying to mute myself.
So weird.
There's a cancel check that proved that his brother was corrupt. Oh. His brother was trying to frame him, and he couldn't disprove it without the check. Sorry, I missed a whole lot. Again, there were commercials, and I was getting annoyed. If there's the whole thing about the subplot of the detective stuff and what's going on inter-bureau, I also just kind of found like annoying and like unnecessary. Like this movie, I think everyone on Letterboxd has kind of agreed, and I'm so glad they're backing me up. This movie was written as a comedy, 100% written as a comedy. It just isn't a comedy. Like it's like a police procedural comedy, like not like at the level of Police Academy, but at the level of like, let's say Dragnet, the movie with like Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. Like it is supposed to be, or like The Other Guys or something. It's written and it's performed as if it is a comedy. Now, that is like separate from the fact that there's also the Harvey Keitel corrupt cop thing. Although I do think one of the funniest moments in this movie is the like yelling back and forth scenes. Like that is hilarious and probably the best I've ever seen Harvey Keitel do something like comedy. I don't think I've ever seen Harvey Keitel be funny, but that's probably the closest we're ever going to get to him being hilarious.
Yeah, he has done comedy before, but like dark comedies, like individual scenes. Like he was in Grand Budapest Hotel, or
I was about to say, is it a Wes Anderson thing? It was one Wes Anderson.
Yeah, but I mean, like he wasn't like funny. It's always like a dry humor kind of situation.
Yeah. Now he's no like Ralph Fiennes, who mostly does dramatic, but Ralph Fiennes can like turn it on and bring it to a comedy. Like he can do something like Hail Caesar and have like the funniest part of that whole freaking movie. Like Harvey Keitel it's even like De Niro does comedies. Harvey does not.
He was being a little
intentionally do comedies. I feel like Grand Budapest is more, like Wes Anderson stuff is more quirky than I would say straight up comedy. Like it's not the recent ones haven't been written like comedies, but like I don't know. It's this. Can we just go back to the blackface? I'm so sorry, but what the fuck is happening in this movie? Do you think John Patrick Shanley ever talked about it? So can I Google John Patrick Shanley January Man? Do you think if I add him on Twitter, he'll tell me what's going on?
I wonder if he even knew about it. I mean, let's face it. I mean, like scriptwriters aren't always on.
Oh,
set
I found the screenplay.
all that much.
I found the screenplay. Should we check to see if it's in the screenplay? Okay, hold on. I have to buy it for $1,000? No fucking way. I don't have to buy it for $1,000. I'm gonna just Google
Well,
script.
never mind. Yeah,
No. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the script. Here we go. JanuaryManScripts.com. Okay, got it. Let's see. Gonna read it. I'll probably have to. Yeah, it does look like I'm gonna have to buy it somewhere. But I'm gonna find this, Alex. Yeah, I'm gonna find it. Let's see. PDF. Okay. Close ad. Sorry, go ahead. You don't have to do this in real time with me.
Oh no, I was like, I'm trying to find a comfortable position. This chair is like hurting my back a little bit.
I need to find a good chair for.
Also, that is how you pronounce his name. His name is pronounced Ray Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes,
yeah. To you, Jake. That's right. His name is Rafe, not Ralph.
Yeah, what do you think his name? What do people think his name is?
I don't know.
No, wait. Okay, so this is a script in which there's this one just has the dialogue, doesn't have anything else. January Man scripts to scream. Okay, let's go. January script PDF. Here we go. Scripts.com. Ugh. Come on, people. Give me the whole thing. Okay, here we go. January Man by John Patrick Shanley. Okay. Boom. Oh, God, this is just the dialogue again. It's just giving you the dialogue as if like someone transcribed it from things. Okay, I would have to pay for it, but I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to pay a little bit of money.
For it. No.
I'm going to. Alex, just for my own sanity, I kind of need to pay for it.
How much is it?
In the script.
How much is it?
This one says it's going to be $14. I'm willing to do it, guys. Anyone want to donate $14 into this extravaganza? Yes, $14 across both sites. I'm doing it. I'm buying it. We've got to find out. So, guys, feel free to go into the comments or to go to streamlabs.com/VideoDrew and throw in a couple of bucks because I am putting out a couple. We've had a lot of donations during this entire thing, so I'm willing to throw in a couple bucks towards January Man.
Speaking of donation, we get another one recently from Eric, again, being a rock star tonight. Thank you so much. Said, I'm so glad I blew your mind with pointing out the blackface. LOL.
That is.
Did you just blow our minds? Did you just make us supremely sad?
I mean, that blows my mind, and that also makes me so happy that I found out there's a How Did This Get Made about it.
It really is.
I mean, what is going on? Okay, so I have to put in all my information, so that's going to be annoying, so give me a second. Burbank. Sorry, I shouldn't say where I am. I'm not in Burbank.
Yeah, so this is definitely a weird movie for sure. Overall, well, something I'm kind of curious from you, Drew, is that as far as like placement for John Patrick Shanley's filmography as a writer and later a director as well, of course. How do you think this fares? I mean,
this is right. I think it's tied with the movie where the guy turns out to be a B. I think it's right up there with B guy.
How dare you?
Which is to say, I guess maybe there is precedent for his movies just ending with no fucking rhyme or reason because the reveal in this one makes about as much sense as a guy revealing that he is secretly been a B and he knows he's not B, but he also thinks he is a B. I have no way to discuss.
The reason why he doesn't tell people. No, dude.
Okay. Let's see. Required field is missing. I hope they don't have to send this to me. I hope they just give me the PDF. They might mail it to me. Let's see if this. Oh man. 24-hour to 48-hour PDF by email, motherfuckers.
Oh gosh. Well, I eagerly await.
I'm still doing it because I'm gonna have to circle back to this next episode. We can't figure it out now.
We're gonna have to. He did this right before Joe vs. Volcano as well as Alive. So I'm sure.
What? Wait, this was right before Joe vs. Volcano. Then I bet after this movie he was like, okay, this is not working with other people directing my movies. The last one before this worked. This is not working because the next movie he does is going to be the first one he directs. Correct? Oh no, Five Corners. No, he didn't direct Five Corners. No,
he did not do Five Corners. The one after this was his.
Woo! Thank you guys. Woohoo! Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Joe vs. Volcano came directly after this, and that movie wasn't at the time. I don't think it was as considered a financial success. It was more of a critical success, but it wasn't financial, unfortunately. Yeah. And then after that, he did Alive. So, if anything,
no, nobody donated this. I just wanted to see if it worked. This is not the real thing. This is just because the widget wasn't working. Okay, go ahead.
But it seems like, if anything, he kind of came to the realization that he actually found more success initially and earlier in his career from having other people directing. The January Man was kind of the anomaly.
I mean, I think as a screenwriter, you probably don't like seeing people take your work and like turn it into something else. My guess is that most screenwriters also like secretly want to direct, just kind of like actors secretly want to direct. If you write words you don't really love, I'm just saying this as a writer, you don't love when people just take your words and like turn it into something that isn't entirely your vision. So I'm sure he always wanted to write and direct and just own it. But Moonstruck doing as well as it did, people probably just wanted to hire him as a writer. And like, I think that guy who said it in the comments was probably right. So they probably just greenlit whatever script he had like lying around. And this was all the leftover stuff that he couldn't fit into Moonstruck. Same brother dynamic, same area of like New York. It seems like it's the same kind of like Italian family type thing. I mean, the whole thing seems very like set in the same worlds. And by the way, kind of set in the same worlds as Five Corners. It's got that like, this is like a grown up Five Corners. Like it's got that thing about like,
murder.
It's got there was no murder in Five Corners.
There's a weird someone falls out of a window.
Someone does fall out of a window. What was that about? So was there just another copycat murderer, or did this guy just get thrown out?
No, someone maybe it was a copycat, I'm not entirely sure, but someone commits suicide after
killing a woman the same way.
To kill, I can't remember if he did successfully kill someone.
Yeah, he successfully killed her.
Yeah. But yeah, so.
But like, and he broke in and it was different. I don't get it. Like, I think there was something a lot missing, and that's fine. Like, that's a thing. But I think that's probably why Joe versus Volcano, if you're telling me this, Joe versus the Volcano would be next. Because it's like kind of proof that he was just like, screw this. I only want to do movies, my own stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure also, I mean, especially if you've had so much success, especially earlier on, you want to find some way to challenge yourself, obviously. And just especially someone like him, where that's why he's constantly changing up what genres he goes into and if he's going to direct or not, or all that good stuff, and if he wants to go back to doing plays, whatever the situation. He definitely seems like the kind of writer director that gets bored really easily, and so he's constantly trying to find a way to challenge himself to create a better script, and beyond, obviously, as well as and when he falls in love, I guess maybe when you fall in love with the script so much at that point you're like, I don't trust anyone else to do it. But in that case
I just don't know. I have to think that he was not happy with this movie. I hope that if this was his choice, then this also informed, like, he learned from it, and this is why he wouldn't do Congo with like the white Alan Quartermain character, and he demanded that they changed it to a black man, and he added the line, because like if it turns out that he wrote this into the script, like that this guy's wearing blackface, I'm gonna have to like have a word. We're gonna need to have a word. That I guess, even if they explain it away, would insinuate that his pathology was that like he wanted to be black, or like, I don't fucking know, man. I can't think of a world in which this is explained away in like a sentence or two.
Even if it was explained away in a sentence, it like what? Even if it was explained, it doesn't seem like it would serve a purpose in the film.
Here's the thing. Like, so, okay, there are movies like Dressed to Kill. Oh, I guess no spoilers or anything, but there are movies like Dressed to Kill where it's like, or like Psycho, where the pathology is the unsub pathology of like the criminal mind that they would do like in, Silence of the Lamb and stuff. The people that would be finding this out they would find out the killer had a thing with their mom, and for that reason wanted to be a woman, or like, and it became like a real issue because only time trans people were depicted in films was when they were like Buffalo Bill or like serial killers and stuff. So that was like problematic.
I love that movie, but that movie is like that really fucked up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like this idea that like the only version of trans that exists is men who like to dress in women's clothing because they're perverted freaks, right? So that was like the idea. That was already problematic. I don't know there's no fetishistic appeal that I can think of that would imply like blackface, and not only that, but like people are saying in the comments that it would make it easier to blend in. In fact, the police would be on the lookout. Like, this was like the 80s, 90s. Like, the police are definitely on the lookout for black dudes just wandering around like with weird hats on. Like, being black doesn't make you less of a suspect. It makes you more of a suspect in any city or place in America. So it doesn't help you. What would be the point of it?
Yeah, I mean, not to mention or by extension, the association saying doing blackface is just another extra quirk that this person is doing in addition to liking astrology. And
I think Eric's thing is right.
And I think that's a really not only horribly stupid thing to do by making that kind of connection or thinking that is a connection when it's not.
I think Eric's point is probably right. That's what someone else in the Reddit comments said, which is that if police saw him running away, they would assume it was a black man who did the crimes. Now that works unless you play the logic out, which is that this guy is so good at being a mastermind serial killer that he's like leaving clues in the form of like notes and astrology. So he's not planning for people to see him running away. Like, that's not a thing that's like happened any other time in the past. Why would it start now? Like, it just so happens that someone managed to catch onto his pattern, but like that pattern was incredibly complex. It involved prime numbers and astrologies and music. So like, I don't know if this like phony ass blackface is going to be like the thing that like saves you, man. Secondly, so he's not doing any running. Secondly, we find out this guy has been in a mental institution for 6 years. When is he, like, for what? First of all, for what? For murder or for putting on blackface in public? Like, what is he in the mental institution for? And like, is he a criminal mastermind or is he a crazy person? I know that they're not totally like opposite sides of a spectrum here, but like a guy who's just dressing up in blackface because he's crazy, fine, maybe I could buy that. But like, if he's canny like a fox and dressing like in blackface and doing all this other stuff, then that's like a totally different scenario, and we don't get any explanation for what he is.
It makes his character seem more ridiculous and stupid.
It's almost like they might as well dress him up like a clown if they wanted to get like silly with it.
Like, if they wanted to get silly, not only that, you make a clown or heck, have him look just like them by extension. Or,
by the way, and Eric, your point works, except that people are more likely to report a suspicious person going into a building. Because remember, he never broke in, or like he never broke in like the way that the copycat broke in. So like they're more likely to report a prowler in the area if he stands out because he's like a guy wearing blackface, and they are likely to report like a well-dressed like white guy going into an apartment building. Like nobody would like clock it. Like, so it still doesn't really work for me.
Real quickly, we did get a super chat a little bit ago saying from Wiley Henry. So thank you so much for your donation. I still love this movie. Soul Man has the worst blackface to me. Love you, Drew.
I mean, there's some, I'm not going to get into like the worst, best blackface conversation. The whole history of blackface is problematic. This might be the most random use of it, though.
Random? I mean, yeah. If you're gonna do blackface in a film, have it serve a purpose and a very clear purpose.
Jake, we're gonna show you what we're talking about here. I just had it pulled up. This is a movie that is not about blackface or people dressing in blackface, but the serial killer in this movie shows up at the very end, and he is wearing blackface, and it's never remarked on, and no one says anything about it. It just is what it is. And at the end of the movie, they're like, we got the serial killer, and they never talk about the fact that it was we'd only see it in like brief shots, but it's definitely a dude wearing straight up blackface, and it's bonkers. And I cannot let it go.
I do want to mention, I've never seen Soul Man, so I can't really go into that whole thing, but I do love RDJ and Tropic Thunder. I feel like that's an example.
Are we doing our favorite blackface now? Because
it's not so much of a favorite example. The thing is, that is like one of the, as far as I know, one of the only ways, if you're gonna do it, you're doing it in a way that is serving where it kind of makes sense, and they're making they're making fun of people that do it. That's like the whole point of his character.
Still not okay. Like, it's still not okay, and it wouldn't pass muster today, and I'm sure he wouldn't do it today.
He's like, a lot of people have defended it. Like, he went on like
doesn't make it okay.
like radio shows, and they all complimented him on it, being like that's like is one of their favorite roles and everything with them.
Like in the last like 3 or 4 years? Because I don't think so. We've like definitely canceled people for like way less than that.
That's the point, but that's the point of the role, though. The role is making fun of people that
I understand that
cultural appropriation and that do that,
even
and
if
how
you're doing that in like a mocking way, like that's where like Bo Burnham stuff, like kind of like his early stuff kind of toes the line. He's making fun of people who would use the F word to refer to gay people, but like he's still using it, and like he has a whole song about that, and like Inside about like being problematic, and like it wasn't okay for him to dress up like Aladdin. Like he can see now that that's a problem. Like even if he was making fun of people who were dressing up like Aladdin,
like it just kind of depends on the context. Like 99.9% of the time, it's bad and it shouldn't be used. Like if you're going to do it, it has to serve a very particular purpose, and if you're going to do it, it needs to.
He does the voice.
It needs to be shown that it's bad. And
I get that. I think the only reason I give RDJ's performance,
you are going to not only get punished, but it's stupid.
Yeah, I think the only reason RDJ's performance gets any sort of cultural pass in this is because his thing was not just a specific thing about blackface; it was a specific commentary on his dad's blackface in Putney Swope.
Oh,
so
I didn't know.
So like his dad played up a did blackface for a very famous. So you see this. His dad very famously portrayed a character in blackface in this movie called Putney Swope. And I think that it was supposed to be a commentary on what his father did, which is a very specific thing. It's not like making fun of people who dress in blackface, because that's not really a thing we have in Hollywood. We don't have like we have a history of it, but it's not like big performers in big super action blockbuster movies generally dress in blackface. So it only works as a cultural commentary on his own father's legacy, I think. And that, what are we looking at? What are we looking at, Jake? What do you think's going on here? Because we never find out. Just FYI.
It doesn't, like, why?
We never find out.
What purpose does this serve?
Why? Maybe it was just me making a cultural commentary on it. So maybe it's okay. They just cut that part out. Jesus Christ.
So stupid.
Are you less lost now, Jake? Because you act like my dog knows more about what's going on than I do, or than you do. But I would argue that there is nothing to explain that will make you less lost.
That's fair. Well, speaking of lost, this movie is definitely a weird one. It's a wild one. I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch this again. Not only just because if I were to watch this again, I would have to buy it for like $14 or rent it for like $6. But it's not a movie that I overall enjoyed watching. Like, I didn't really out loud laugh personally. I didn't think, outside of Alan Rickman, which is always sexy, I didn't find the movie particularly romantic or, again, funny or clever all that much. So that's
me neither.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
say, yeah. You'll ever watch it again?
I would watch it again to see what I missed. Like, I would look up this time, I would take notes, and I would see if I'm missing something. When I get the script, I'm going to look at the script while watching this movie and see if maybe I'm straight up, I'm not lying, I'm going to DM John Patrick Shanley and ask if he'd be willing to, like, not even do an official interview, but just kind of walk me through what happened, if he's willing to talk about it at all. Because since we started doing the Shanley songs, I have followed him on Twitter. He followed me back. I've DM'd him being like, I'm a big fan. I know next week is our last one of his. So I don't know. Like, I'm going to kind of make my shot and see if, like, maybe I can get him on the show or do something. I'll make my big shot at this. But
more than Doubt, more than Alive, more than Moonstruck, I want to talk about Wild Mountain Time.
I want to talk about this and Wild Mountain Time specifically, just to ask, like, what?
I have so many questions.
What's going on, man?
Like, at least Wild Mountain Time, I walk away. I actually walked away enjoying it, but I was just like,
I did not like Wild Mountain Time that much.
It was just no, and I totally get that, why people it's not.
What's hilarious though is that we started with Wild Mountain Time. That was the John Patrick, like, because a lot of people I tell about this, like, I was talking to Paulo Yama, I think, or some other people and about this, and I was like, they were like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, if you're watching John Patrick Shanley, have you seen his new one, Wild Mountain Time? And I was like, no, we started with Wild Mountain Time, and then we looked at his filmography and went, how did the same person make this and Doubt and Joe versus the Volcano and Congo. Like, it is nuts. Like, did this person have multiple personality disorders? Was he just very like, was he just given scripts to write, or would this all come from the same mind? It is bonkers. I need him on the show, and I need to talk about this last movie that we're going to be doing next week. So, do you have any final thoughts on January Man?
My final thoughts are no one's all that good outside of Alan Rickman. No one's particularly interesting. The script wasn't all that much fun, all things considering. There's a lot of useless scenes, subplots that don't really serve a purpose. Again, and this movie really just makes me more confused.
Yeah, this movie
filmography.
Look, because I'm not very good at paying attention. I missed so much of this that I guess proves to me why I should look up to on the screen. More than anything, I wish I hadn't missed this, because it really took like Eric in the comments telling us, guys, the serial killer wasn't just not like a guy that we'd been introduced to. Like, it wasn't just that it was like not Alan Rickman. It was that it was a non-commented upon performer of blackface. And and Eric's saying that the guy who was crazy in the mental institution wasn't even the killer. That was the copycat. So we don't know anything about this guy. It feels like maybe we lost the last exposition dump of the movie. Like the final scene, maybe they got cut, like they decided just to cut it out. The final scene where they're wrapping things up and he confronts his brother and he's like, hey, you tried to frame me. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe because this movie ending with the check is weird enough, but maybe like there's a final scene that we missed where his brother's like, I'm sorry I framed you. It's because you hooked up with my girl. And he's like, all good, king. And then like they're like, oh, by the way, this guy was dressed in blackface because of blah, blah, blah. And his mom put like a clothespin on his dick when he was a kid whenever he'd win like, spelling bee. And then we get the whole blue ribbon thing. And then everything is wrapped up with a bow. One word, money. Money, 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 money. It's just so freaking weird. But you know what? We're at the last one of his films. I can't believe it. Oh, hey, stop it. How long as it took us taken us to get through his stuff?
Okay, so I'm going to double check. It's been like a good 2.5 months, I say.
Yeah, we were like at the end of June, I think, because Tulpa just gotten spayed. So
6,
7,
8. No, we've only, it's been 2 months.
Yeah, that's strange. Okay, so 2 months, and we're going to be getting to the end here. So with the final movie, we had a tough call here. We had to decide what we were going to do last. January Man, I'd heard, was a comedy, which I guess it kind of is, but like I'm glad we didn't end with this. We are going to be ending with his, I think one of his more famous movies, along with Moonstruck and Joe versus Volcano and Doubt, I think is his movie 1990. Again, you're just gonna be mind blown. 1993 disaster film, a drama disaster film, biopic kind of, because I think it is based on a true story. I can't remember if it is or not. It is the Uruguay rugby team that flies into a mountain and have to survive. It is called Alive. It stars Josh Hamilton, Ethan Hawke. Yeah, right. God, Ethan Hawke. I've never actually seen this movie, so I'm excited about it. Ethan Hawke. Let's see. Anyone else big in this? No, not really. Okay, so it stars Ethan Hawke and Josh Hamilton. So it's about a rugby team. I don't know if it's about what I think it's about. I think I got confused for another movie. I don't even know if this is based on a true story. So it'll be interesting to watch. And Frank Marshall again directed this. Frank Marshall, who directed the last thing we saw him direct was Congo.
That's right.
So he did. So this is his second collaboration with John Patrick Shanley. So that's gonna be interesting. And he's Catherine Kennedy's husband. So that's really cute. Okay, Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me up here on Twitter, @real_Alex Mack. You can also see me on there posting updates regarding my first time movie watches. I'm trying to crack 300 by the end of the year, first time movie watches. So wish me luck, and hopefully you're along for the ride.
And I am VideoDrew. You can find me doing a movie trivia match, I think, coming up. I think it's this week. So make sure to tune into that. I'm going to be playing Griffey Nooms, Downtown, not Julie Brown, but the other Downtown Griffey Newman. So check that out on the movie trivia Schmoedown on Thursday. It's dropping. Very exciting match. Was really excited to get a chance to play this guy. I played him like for a hot second at Free For All, and I found him very engaging and intelligent. He does that Blank Check podcast, which is very fun. If you just a little How Did This Get Made plug, if you haven't checked out his episode about the Snyder Cut on How Did This Get Made, it is incredibly insightful. Probably the only thing I could actually listen to about the Snyder Cut. Like honestly, I wish I'd listened to it before we did our podcast because it was like very informative. Otherwise, you can find me here next. So my schedule is all over the place right now because me and Eric are launching, NerdChronic are launching a couple shows in podcast form. Call to action. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, call to action is where you can find out.
I'm never on call to action all that much anymore. I am part of call to action. I do give them a shout out, but I'm never on call to action all that much anymore. But it just comes down to availability. So that's all.
So also you can find me, not to steal the mic back, but you can find me at my Patreon, patreon.com/VideoDrew. So we're going to be dropping some of the podcast stuff. It's also where you can request movies for quizzes or for cinema bias. Because after this, Alex, anything's game. We could do Pokemon. There's like 8 movies that Eric wants you to watch. Like we have a lot of ideas. Have you seen Phantom Tollbooth? Here's like a weird thing.
No, I have not. But I can't wait to go into Pokemon the first movie.
Me and Eric need to like slam some more Pokemon in order to make that happen soon. Phantom Tollbooth is something I really want to show you because it's either like something I think that's very much part of your childhood experience or you've never heard of it. Like I was talking to Adam Collins yesterday, he's never heard of it, like, or he never saw the movie, and like that was a movie that was on par with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with me growing up, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with me growing up. It was like, and like the Phantom Tollbooth won. Like I like the Phantom Tollbooth a lot more than I like Charlie or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So a lot going on. So then there's cinema bias. There's the VideoChronic Pop Culture's quizzes, which are Mondays and Thursdays. This Thursday, I think at 9 or 9:30, we're doing Con Air with Craig the Barbarian and Ethan Big Time Irwin. He's the biggest time right now. Ethan, the belted Ethan Irwin. You know, that already happened, right?
Yeah,
that happened. Okay, cool.
It's official. It's public now.
Okay, cool. So I was like, for a second, I said that word coming out of my mouth, and I was like, no, Drew, no. But anyway, we're gonna have them on Thursday. It's a little bit later than usual because everyone's getting off of work. On Sunday, we do Live in the Dark. That's usually 8 or 9. We're going to see about this week who's going to be on. I also have a new show with Adam Collins called Why Are We Like This? It's every other Saturday. So not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And then, yeah, just a ton of stuff with me. So check out all my stuff. Also Pokemon. I love Pokemon. And I sell Pokemon and talk about it a lot. And then, yeah. Hey. Okay, that's it for us. See you guys next time here on Cinema Bias. Bye.